Welcome to Taking Over the Photo Pit, a music photography podcast helped by me, Boston Schultz, and I interview badass concert photographers, and today is no exception because I'm talking to Mari from SoundSnap Photo. And the first time I looked at her portfolio, I was just like, yes, I need to interview her because not only is she an incredible music photographer, concert photographer, like her portfolio for weddings, for boudoir, it's just insane. Like everything looks so good. And I know that she's done a lot of really, really cool stuff in the music industry and has recently moved out to California. So I wanted to talk to her about everything from connections and being in the music industry, how to get started, how to do these other types of photography, and like why she came to Southern California. So we dive into all of this, and it's such a good one. So please stick around and listen to the whole thing. I promise you will get such good advice out of it, and you'll want to hear all of this. So we're just gonna jump right into it. Hey Mari, what's up? I'm so excited to have you here and talk about your concert photography journey because I creeped on a lot of your work and I was super obsessed, especially with the fact that you do a lot of work in Joshua Tree, and I love the Joshua trees. So anyway, that's just my little starting out point, but I wanted to kick it off. Can you please tell us like who you are, how you got started in concert photography, just kind of like a quick intro of your career and like what you've been doing?
Yeah, totally. I've started in music photography probably when I was about 16 or 17.
Wow.
I worked in a radio station for years, and I used to have this little tiny digital camera that I brought everywhere with me because we never had coverage of our shows. And I was like, I'll take pictures of everything. It's fine. And then I just was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I met up with one of my mom's high school best friends who was a concert photographer, and
Very
she did
cool.
a lot of metal shows. And I started hanging out with her, and she taught me the ways of concert photography. We like would shoot Seven Dust and like all the cool shows. There was this thing called the Chili Cook-Off that the radio station I worked for, XL 102 in Richmond, Virginia. Sorry, I say a lot. But
No worries.
they did this thing called the Chili Cook-Off where they had a bunch of alternative bands play and stuff like that. And I used to shoot that with her, and it was really fun. And I met a lot of people working in the radio industry, and it kind of branched me out. And I kind of like fell off the wagon for a little bit, and I was kind of trying to figure out like my calling and like what I really wanted to do with my life. And I was like, when was the last time I was happy? And I was like, oh, it was when I was behind the barricade. And I was like, I'm going to be a concert photographer, and I'm going to quit waiting tables, and I'm going to quit doing everything else, and I'm just going to be a photographer. And it took me a couple years, but I ended up doing it, and I ended up going on tour with major bands like Queens of the Stone Age, Eagles of Death Metal. I did a tour with Jidenna, who's a really cool hip-hop artist that I met last year, and he's amazing. So it just branched off from there, and I've always loved music, and I could never sing, I could never play, and I was like, I want to give back to an industry that has done so much and pretty much saved my life. And that is when I decided, I was like, well, I can immortalize them as gods. So that's what I ended up doing.
I love it. So, wow, you got into photography pretty young then. And you've already accomplished like so much. I don't know how long you've been shooting, but you mentioned like touring and traveling, which is a lot of like everyone's, I guess, big dream when it comes to concert photography. So like, how did you get started in tours? How did you get into that world and that part of it?
It's about networking. So every show that you go to, I always befriend everyone. You're always, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're talking to. You treat everyone with the same respect that you would want to be treated with. And from there, I was doing like, I think one of the big connections that I made, and one of my favorite friendships that I made was with Jesse Hughes of Eagles of Death Metal. I actually interviewed him at Riot Fest in 2015, and it was like, I was so geeked out because I've been a fan for years, and I got to like interview him, and I was just like, holy crap, it's Jesse Hughes, and he's like in the flesh, baby. And it was so fun, and we just hit it off, and then from there we just became really good friends. And I mean, on that same day I met Jack Black, and that was like, I was like, whoa.
How funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. I opened like the tour bus door, and like Jack Black is standing there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's Jack Black. And he's like, it's a person. But from there, like, Jesse really helped me along and took me on tours, and kind of like kept me under his wing, and helped me with my career. And he's best friends with Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age, which is my all-time favorite band in the whole wide world, and he knew that. So when they did their tour in 2018, he was like, you're coming with us. He's like, buy your plane ticket, meet me at the venue. He's like, you're coming with us, and you're going to get on the bus. And I was kind of hesitant because, like, he's terrible at texting. And I was like, I don't know if I should fly across the country to, like, go on this tour. Like, I don't know if this is going to happen. Like, this is nerve-wracking. Like, he hasn't texted me back in days. And my friend was like, do it. Buy the ticket. And I bought the ticket, and I showed up to the first date. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to, like, do it or not. I was, like, scared. And then all of a sudden, he shows up in the line. And he's like, there you are, come with me. And then, like, and it was just like, I was like, okay. And then from there, like, it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And he introduced me to Josh, and I got to hang out with him one-on-one, and it was amazing. And it really gave me that insight that I could do anything I put my mind to, and that if you have talent and you believe in yourself and you have good people that believe in you, you can make it anywhere.
That's such an incredible story. Just having that opportunity to work with those big names, and then also having them be so kind and like supportive, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really funny because I've worked with a lot of big name bands just through working in radio for years, and I've shot a lot of festivals and met a lot of people, and so many people get a bad reputation. Yeah. And it boggles my mind that I've met more nice musicians than I've met mean ones. And the mean ones are the ones that you wouldn't expect to be mean. So, like, it's kind of shocked me. Like, but I feel like if you come out with an energy where you are treating people like they're people, and I think so many people put them on pedestals and forget that they're humans, and forget that this is a job. This is a career move for them. This is like what they do for a living. Yes, it's something they're passionate about, but it is also something that they do. And if you respect that boundary where you appreciate them for their work, but then you also understand that that is a career, that's not all of them, and you treat them like you would anybody else, that they treat you like anybody else.
So you were talking about how you got started kind of like in radio, or worked in radio for a long time. How did that experience come about? Like, was that your first step into the industry, or were you behind the scenes at radio, or were you actually on the radio? What were you doing?
It's kind of a mixture. So when I want something, especially in my young teenage years, I will go out and get it. And I had the biggest balls. Like, I would do anything. Well, I wanted to work in radio because I wanted to be a radio personality. I wanted to go to concerts, and I wanted to do all the cool stuff. And so every day before, I was in high school, every day before school at 7 a.m., I would sit at the radio station and wait for this one lady who did internships. Every morning for 3 weeks, I would go to the radio station, and I would sit there and wait for a meeting with her. And it was so funny because they'd always be like, oh, she's in the office, or oh, she's on air, or oh, she's busy. And then one day, after 3 weeks and like 30-something messages, She walks into the room and she was like, "Bless your heart, child. You have been looking for me for a long time." And I was like, yes. I was like, I want an internship. She's like, "We don't give internships to high schoolers, only college kids." And I was like, "Can I be the exemption? Like, can I please do this? Like, I really want to do this." And she was like, "You know what?" She's like, "You've shown up here at 7 o'clock on the dot every day for 3 weeks. I obviously see that you're determined. So you start this summer." And so I got the internship, and you can't work in radio until you're like legally 18. I don't know if things have changed now, but when I started like 13 years ago, that's how it was. So I worked all summer filing paperwork, like listening to Metallica songs for cuss words, doing everything in that office that everybody wanted me to do. I did everything. I was like booking bands and shows. I was like working with the accountants. I was answering the phones. Like, I was taking requests. I was like being like the coffee bitch for everybody, excuse my language. But like, that's literally like, that's all I did, is like, I did everything for everyone in that building. And it was so awesome. When I turned 18, they brought me in on my 18th birthday, and they handed me the hire paperwork, and they're like, "Congratulations." And I became a street team member. Aww. And I got to be the face of XL. Like, I would go to all the shows. I would introduce the bands. I would like make sure the talent was taken care of. I'd do the terrible car dealership in the middle of summer, like in the heat, sweating in a black t-shirt. Like, I would give away prizes. Like, I did everything. And it was such an awesome experience. And I did a little bit of on air. But I eventually wanted to do more. So after I became like the little errand minion and they started hiring more people, I started going more into the photography realm, and then eventually got hired on as their staff photographer. And I started, cool. Yeah, it was super awesome. And I got to meet so many people. I did all the little acoustic sets, the meet and greets. I like got to smooze with the record label reps. I started getting invited to all the dinners and the networking, and like I got to take pictures of everybody, and I got to go to all the shows. Like, I was known around all the venues, and it was amazing. It was such a beautiful experience. Like, during this pandemic, it's been hard because, you know, I'm used to going to 5 or 6 shows a week, and now I'm like, I think I went to one outdoor show with like someone playing a banjo in the middle of the desert, and that was it. So it's been a really interesting ride, and I definitely suggest, if anybody wants to get into concert photography, the way to go is to go through radio and internships. Honestly, like, that's how you get on that media team, and then from there, people see your work. You're getting consistent work. You're getting to work with different people. You're getting to network, and then from there, you can branch out and do other things.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I've never even thought of, like, personally going through radio. That's never, like, I've heard that now, I think, twice on this podcast, that, you know, people have had a passion for radio. So I find that really interesting and really helpful for people to have, like, another step, you know, another option, I guess, to, like, go through. So that's really, really cool. Have you been, like, before the pandemic, were you still working in radio, or were you more like freelance?
I was more freelance. So I moved to California probably about 1.5 2 years ago now, to pursue touring full time and to get more music connections out here. So I'd been with that radio station for 13 years, and I left. Yeah. So I left just as they were giving me my own position. And I was like, I'm an idiot, but it's okay. I have to pursue my dreams.
Yeah.
And so I started doing freelance work. So I got a couple gigs out here through freelancing. Not as many as I thought I would be, because, you know, we always have that pipe dream that we're going to go right into it and everything's going to be wonderful. No, my California dreams were crushed within like 3 months of living here. And the reality check set in, especially with the being unemployed for 6 months because nobody hires you when you're transient. So, yeah, it was pretty intense. But once I started like networking and meeting people and going out, I started to get gigs. And I actually had 3 tours lined up for this summer.
Oh my god.
And then COVID happened, and then all the tours got canceled. So it takes time. It takes time. I got to work with Incubus a little bit. One of my good friends is their guitar tech, and they had me out for a show, and then I got to do a couple days with Jadena, which was really cool. And I love him. Like, oh God, I love him. He's so wonderful. He deserves everything good that happens to him. He is such a magical, beautiful, wonderful, amazing man. And he's so humble and he's so sweet. I got to work with him. I worked with a couple other people. My mind's a little hazy, but I've shot like freelance shows here and there for publications. I've shot a couple festivals for a hip-hop magazine. I've been mostly writing freelance for different publications. And it's just a challenge. Like, you're in a new area. I went from being like one of the top 3 like concert photographers in Richmond, Virginia, to coming to Joshua Tree, where no one knows my name, no one cares who I am, and I'm a dime a dozen. So it's like, it was definitely a humbling effect to realize all the work that I had put in the industry where I was from to become something. But it also showed me that your work is never really done if you want to make it somewhere else. Like, you got to keep going with it, and you're gonna hit some grain and some challenges, but your talent will eventually speak through, and your hard work and dedication will also push you through.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man. It's cutthroat out here. Nobody plays. Like, it's vicious. Like, and I notice a lot of things is sometimes it's not even about talent. It's about who you know.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I could be like I could have like a freaking drone flying around your show and doing all this magical, like, crazy double exposure artsy stuff, but then they have like their cousin's girlfriend on tour with them, and she's like, she's an amateur, but like everybody knows her, so they trust her. So that's why it's so important to develop relationships and build trust and friendship within the community so that you get those gigs, because they're going to give it to someone they know before they give it to a stranger. It doesn't matter how much talent you got. For sure.
And like, exactly what you were saying about like, so much of this industry is about networking, and you can build up an incredible network, and as soon as you step foot in another city, that doesn't matter at all. And it's just like, okay, I promise I'm really cool, you know?
You're like, I'll see myself out.
Yeah. So I definitely understand that could be incredibly hard to like switch locations. I moved from New York to LA when I was learning concert photography. So I did not, make a name for myself in New York and then like move here and have to redo it. I was like still in the process of like trying to build my portfolio. So like I like barely got a taste of that, and then like moved to, Southern California, where, like you were saying, there are so many photographers out here, and it's just about who you know, and it's hard. I could complain about this for hours, literally hours, but I think that that's all really important things for like everyone to recognize when they're getting into this industry, is like networking and who you know is so much of it.
Exactly. And being friendly and approachable. And
definitely
that, because like, it's so funny. I've met so many people in the pit that have no pit etiquette and just stick their nose up at you and like won't talk to you, and it's just like, and you're just like sitting there like, okay, that's cool, because you never know, that photographer might work for a publication and they might not be able to do a gig, and they might send it your way.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna be rude and like not like talk to anybody or do anything. Now I get it. Like sometimes like I just want to work and I don't want to make friends. But like that's when I'm on like a touring gig because I have to get certain shots at certain spots at certain times, and I'm like going through the set in my head and the counts. But like when I'm doing like a publication or I'm shooting a festival for like something like that, I'm always talking to people. I'm always like, hey, what's up? Like I've met a bunch of girls in a bunch of the groups, like a bunch of the online groups that we're in, through actually seeing them behind the barricade. I'm like, oh, I saw your profile picture. I know who you are. I was like, hey, Sam. Like, you know, like, so it was really cool. So I think that being approachable and friendly and connecting and talking to people is a really important and vital trait to have in order to make it in this industry. Because you could be the top of the line game, have the top of the line equipment, like have years of experience and gone to college and all this other stuff, but if you can't like hang with the boys, like you're not going to not gonna make it. And that was a really hard lesson to learn. Doesn't mean you need to party with everybody, because sometimes that gets you in trouble too, but you need to be present and engaged and be friendly and approachable and just like be nice. Be nice is be nice.
So basic but so important.
It is so important. I've met so many amazing people, but I've also met so many unruly people with a sense of entitlement. And I'm like, and then it frustrates me too, because I'm like, I've been in this industry just as long as you have. And I was like, I understand, like, you know, like, like, these guys that have been in it for, like, 10 years, and they're just, like, 10, 15 years, and they're just like, and I'm just like, okay, I've been in it, too. I don't need to act like that towards everybody. We all here. We all taking the shot. Like, we'll all move out of each other's way. We'll all help each other. Like, boggles my mind.
There's some interesting people in this industry. We'll say that.
Yeah. How really funny.
Really quickly, I wanted to talk about, like, do you do a lot of work with local bands? Because leading up to this, we've talked mostly about you doing these big tours and everything. But do you do, like, local work with local bands, like, here in Southern California? Or do you primarily focus on these kind of, like, bigger touring events and like larger publication shows?
Oh, I do everything.
Awesome.
I have a band that I'm pretty much on retainer for forever with back in Virginia. They're amazing guys. They're a pop punk band. They're called Little Death. I do all their promo work for them and all that stuff. And then I also have a really good friend, his last name is Friend, Isaac Friend in Denver, and I do his promo stuff for him. And I have tons. I work with all different types of artists. I really support small artists and trying to make it out there. So I have affordable base packages for them to help them get their social media up and all their engagement and all the photos they need for promos and stuff like that. So I really cut them a good deal so that they can be able to promote themselves and make money off their content and kind of get their name out there. Because someone gave me a chance back in the day, I'm going to give somebody else a chance.
Yeah.
So I really like doing that, and I love going to local shows and finding new music. Like, if I ever had to change careers, I would want to go into artist relations and be an A&R rep and find talent. That's like a goal. I would love to do that. It would be amazing because I love going to shows. I love finding new music and stuff like that. And that is so I always do. I don't just section myself off to national. I've just gotten very gifted and very lucky to be able to do as many national acts and meet as many national acts as I have. But I do work a lot with local bands, and that's how I did start. I did start shooting this event that we had called Local Exposure, where it was like a battle of the bands to open up for our chili cook-off for XL. So that's how I started meeting bands that way and started networking and talking and hanging out with them. And then I was like, man, I wish I could play music. I was like, but I can't. I tried to teach myself guitar. It was horrible.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it wasn't that bad. I love that, like, most of us that are in, like, music photography, we're just, like, obsessed with music and the scene, and that's how we got into it. And I love hearing that, like, you know, having those, like, bass packages and, like, lower packages to, like, work with local bands to, like, make sure that they have everything that they need. It really helps, like, feed our music industry. It's like everyone starts somewhere. They need that. They're not getting paid, you know, for their shows half the time, or if it's like, or really, really low, you know, payments. So it's like, you know, everyone's out there struggling. Like, everyone needs a chance. So I love hearing that, like, there's people in this industry like you that are giving back and, like, actually helping people move ahead. So I love that. You mentioned doing, like, promo shots and social media stuff, and this is one of the questions I wrote down because your, like, band musician portraits are so good, and I personally find, like, portrait work impossible. Like, it stresses me out to no end to, like, try to figure out, like, what kind of poses I want, like, what the, like, setup is gonna be, lighting. I just, like, freak out. And your work is incredible. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, portrait work and, like, how you got into it, any, like, tips for, like, creating photos, like, any setup when it comes to portrait work, because I feel like you're a huge step up, and I know a lot of people struggle with portrait work, not just me, or maybe it is just me, who knows. But any tips that you have there, I would love to hear them.
Yes, so everyone is awkward in front of a camera within the first 30 minutes of a session, pretty much, except for trained models, but even then they're a little stiff. So when it comes to doing band portraiture, because boys are so scatterbrained, especially when with their buddies, and they want to, like, hang out and they want to drink, and, like, I have to wrangle them. Yeah. So I'm like, listen, you can pop a PBR open after we get the shots, okay? Like, everything will be fun. So what I do is I go through, I have them bring 5 or 6 different pieces of wardrobe so I can see, and we can match them and have all of their aesthetics kind of blend the same. We usually do a conversation on the phone of locations that they want, or they tell me a look that they're going for, and I location scout, and then I find the things that fit what they're looking for. With Little Death, I love them because they literally are down for whatever I'm down for. We've done a lot of different portraits with them, like with downtown city lights at night. We've done smoke bombs. We've done abandoned houses. We did an abandoned hotel one time. So it was really cool. So when you're dealing with multiple people, especially with bands, you have to look at positions and posing to kind of keep them kind of, like, it depends. Like, you don't have to follow any rules, but, like, you want everything to look aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. So sometimes they like to do, like, the buddy shots where they're, like, grouped together and huddled. Sometimes we like to do, like, the triangle. Sometimes we like to do the roundabout. So it depends on, I always go through and I kind of, like, give myself a shot list of ideas. So I'll look at I'll location scout. I'll find a location. I'll be like, okay, what can I do here? So in my head, I have a list of poses and shots that I do with bands, and I try to figure out how I'm going to blend that and put that together. So I'll just go through. I come up with, like, 5 main shots that I know that I can do, and poses that I can do that off the top of my head. And then from there, I'll have, like, a little, like, cheat sheet of other, like, poses that I was interested in that I want to try with them, and I want to see how it looks. So I'll keep them, like, screenshotted on my phone, and I'll look at them, and I'll get everybody into position of how I want it to look. And then I'll figure out, like, my viewpoint of where I want to be to do the shot. I think a lot of people get stuck in straightforward especially with bands.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have a little variety. Sometimes you can do a Dutch angle. Don't suggest it all the time because it gets annoying. But, like, sometimes you can shoot above. Just don't get up their noses the whole time. Sometimes you can shoot down on them. It's like it's not just the picture in front of you. You have to look around. Like, you have to look around your surroundings. And I think so many people get stuck in that flat mindset, especially in portraiture. So they never create any depth of field or dimension. So when you're working with multiple bodies, like, look at do a side profile, do like weird things. And what really helped me with portraiture work is doing boudoir.
Oh.
So with boudoir, it's lingerie. It's like chicks in lingerie, sometimes gentlemen, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And what's awesome is, like, you're seeing like a form. So usually they're like half dressed. So you're seeing the curvatures of of bodies and stuff like that, which helps you see how to position people. Because sometimes when people are in clothes, you can't see how their body's angled and something looks bunched up or frumpy. So with boudoir, it helps you to look for leading lines in portraiture. So you're like, okay, well, if you move your hip here and you bend there, it does this. So then by doing that, I pay attention to bodies and lines. So, like, it's so funny because sometimes my clients rag on me because I'm looking, like, right through them. They're like, are you looking at me right now? And I'm like, I'm looking at you, but I'm not looking at you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking for leading lines to see what moves, what would look good, where their arms should be positioned, how they should be bent, how their shoulders should look. So it's, like, all about body movement. I definitely suggest, like, if anybody has problems with body movement, posing, or anything like that, just to do, like, a little simple boudoir session. And they can even be in a bathing suit, Yeah. Just to see leading lines, because it influences you and it's fun. And it's very empowering, and it shows you where the form is, and it shows you how to move the human body. And, I love boudoir. I think boudoir and music photography are, like, my top favorite things to do, because they're so versatile. And I think so many people get stuck in one essence of those things that they don't see that there's so many things they can do. Like, I offer Halloween boudoir sessions. When I work with bands, I offer to do, like, weird concepts with them. And I feel like if I wasn't constantly, like, thinking outside the box from doing all different aspects of portraiture, I wouldn't be able to create that imagery in what I do.
Yeah. Wow, that was all great advice, and you honestly just, like, kicked it right into one of my other questions I wanted to ask is, like, you have incredible, like, boudoir and wedding photography as well. So I wanted to hear about, like, how you got into that and, like, branching into other types of photography, because, like, me personally, I'm very, like, focused on, like, just music photography. But I love seeing people who are, like, very versatile and, like, can do all of these different types of shoots. So was music photography was the first, and then did you just start branching out from there? And you've already talked a little bit about boudoir, but how do you get into, like, weddings and, like, finding that kind of clientele and expanding your photography business?
So what's funny is that I got used to taking my camera everywhere I went. So from doing music photography, I was a party girl. So I brought my camera to parties and just started taking weird pictures of my friends at parties. And then from there, people would be like, oh, did you bring your camera? Like, it's my kid's birthday party this weekend. I'll pay you like $20 to take some photos. And then it went into, oh, I'm getting married. Can you do my engagement photos? And then from there, it went to, like, hey, I'm having a wedding. Can you shoot that? And it just, like, branched off. I just started bringing it everywhere, and everybody just expected it. And then everybody's like, oh, well, why don't you do this? Like, why don't you bring that? And then I was like, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't think anybody would pay me to do it. And then after a while, I started investing in my equipment, and I started, like, seeing that people did make a paying career out of it. And I was like, I could do this. So then an opportunity came up. I started doing school photography for a school portrait thing, and I was already working for myself freelancing at this point. But I started doing school photography, and the opportunity came up while I was doing that. This lady who was a boudoir photographer in town, she decided to sell her business. And I had other photographer friends come to me and be like, let's team up together and buy her business out and make it like something big. So I was like, hell yeah, like I'll do that. And I was like, I'd done like boudoir before, but I didn't know it was boudoir. Just like my friends are like, oh, I want to take a cute picture for this boy I like, can you like take a picture of me in my underwear? And I'm just like, okay. So like it was just like weird stuff like that. I did a bunch of little like side freelance gigs for like different companies. I did like kids portraits, I did school portraits, I did dog portraits. I did all that stuff, and then like I'd have friends that started doing that, and then I was like, I think I could do boudoir. So everybody else had the money to put up for the business, but except for me, because I was like a poor kid. So I was like, I'll work the business so that I can pay my half. And they were like, okay. So I started working with the clients. Well, and I started doing the business, and I worked in retail and waiting tables for years, so I was really good at selling people on stuff. So like I started upselling people, and then all of my investors, one of them moved away, two of them moved away, and then the other one didn't put any more money in. So then we only had to pay 10 grand for the business. So the one person had put in like $1,200. Everybody else had put in like 50 or $100. And then I was working for the business. I made $8,000 in a month for the business. I was able to buy out everybody else's share in the company and take it over myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great going from being a freelancer and not really knowing how to price myself and kind of like figuring it out on my own, and going to owning an established business with a studio that already had a name and a brand. And so it was really intimidating, but it also helped me price what I'm worth. And it helped me figure out how to run a legal business. Because at that point, I was just like freelance, didn't know anything. And then I was like, all right, I need to register an LLC. I need to get a business license. I need to get an EIN number. I need to make sure my business is insured. I need to make sure I have insurance on my gear in case something happens. And it really helped me take my business to a different level and be able to get to a point where I was able to focus on actually turning it into a career. And while this was all happening, I was still doing school photography, but I started getting all these crazy gigs. Like I worked in burlesque. I was actually a burlesque performer for 4 years. I was terrible at it. But I made a lot of connections. I realized I was more beneficial to the community as a photographer than I was as a dancer. So I started working with burlesque dancers, and they became kind of my first boudoir clients that would sign releases for me to promote that I was doing that. And then from there, it kind of like branched off. And then I finally, after I started building the brand that that was established already, and then I realized I was like, this isn't my style. Like I'm literally filling in for this woman who sold me the company, and I'm still doing her style of sessions, which wasn't me at all. So I decided to rebrand and put my name on it and start doing it my way, because she was like very like light and pin-up-y, and the business was named Pink, and I hate the color pink. It was I couldn't stand it, and like everything was really kitschy and pin-up-y, and like I cleared out my entire studio of like all of the pink branding, all of the cheesy like pin-up stuff. Like I still do pin-up, but I do it my way now. Yeah. And then I'm more of a darker kind of like sultry vibe. So when I rebranded and did Sound Snap Boudoir, I started doing more dramatic stuff. I hate shooting in the same space over and over again. It bores me. So I started doing abandoned portraiture and outdoor portraiture. I started getting different locations, and I started like doing weird stuff, and people dug it. And it was like, and I started getting like clients outside of my normal range, and I started working with sex workers, and they were coming to me like on a monthly basis to do content. And I was like, I'd always cut deals for them because I want them to make money and I want them to come back. So like it was a bunch of things, and it became this huge community, and it was amazing, and it was so cool, and I still have that community going even though I live across the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I've met so many amazing people from it, and it brought a lot of different aspects of photography to me. So like I definitely, like, that was probably like the best investment I ever did, was investing in that company. And it kind of made it so that I knew I could make it. And now, like, you know, I sold everything I owned to move out here, because, you know, that's what people do when they want to move to California. They sell their lives away, and then they come out here thinking it'll be cake, and then they cry like for 2 years, and then eventually they either step on the horse or they move back home. So it's been an interesting change of events, and now I'm about to open a new studio out in Joshua Tree. So it's not going to be as big as my last one, and it's going to be in my house, but it's still going to be mine, and I'm going to be able to start the process of rebuilding again.
Yeah. That's all awesome. I think that, like, one of the important things that you mentioned is, like, with doing all of that, you get to learn, like, what your style is, and like with rebranding and being like, this isn't me, this is me, so let's do this and rebrand to this, and then like your true self and like what, you know, imagery you really like will show through, and then more people will flock to you because it's like it's someone that they want to work with. When you have a passion like that and you're like shooting for yourself and everything, that like, you know, you're really happy with what you're putting out, like you do kind of form a community. And I love hearing that, like, you were just like, look, this wasn't me, so I'm gonna make it me, and it was so successful for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I definitely suggest also that people that are wanting to do photography don't just focus on one spot. Try it all. Doesn't mean that you have to be good at everything, because there's things that I suck at. I suck at newborn photography. I suck at it. I'm nervous. I'm actually pregnant right now, and I'm about to have a kid, and I'm like, oh God, like, I don't know how I'm going to take pictures of this thing. Like, I'm so bad at it. Like, I can do family portraits. I can do all that other stuff. I can do, like, someone holding a newborn, but I can't do those little cutesy, like, Ann Getty ones. Terrible at it.
Where they're all wrapped up.
Yeah, and the swaddles. Yeah, it's so nerve-wracking. Like, newborn photographers on some real stuff right there, they are probably the elitists of all photography, because you have to have so much patience to deal with, A, parents, B, a colicky baby that is probably going to diarrhea on you 5 times during the session. And you're going to have to take breaks throughout the entire thing to make sure the baby's okay and it's fed and it's happy. Like, they usually do a 6 to 8 hour session. Yeah, I can't imagine being with 3 people for that long. That's not a wedding. Like, it boggles my mind. I have so much respect for them. And when I tried to do it, I was like, all right, well, I'm good at a lot of things, but that is not one of them.
Yeah. I just, like, always think about, like, we were talking a little bit before about, like, the formal business stuff. Like, the amount of, like, business liability insurance I would assume that you would have to have for working with newborns, because, like, working weddings is, like, one thing that, like, I definitely understand. If you're, you know, working something for long term, you need to have that liability insurance in case anything that you do goes wrong. Same with owning a studio. But, like, the people that would freak out the most if something went wrong, it would be the parents who just had a baby. And it's like, that is a tiny person. So, like, your liability insurance would have to be insane. And that just terrifies me by itself. So I've never gotten into newborn photography. Like, nope, not for me.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it because it's so stressful. It boggles my mind. There's so much versatility in everything that you do.
Yeah.
But it also shows you what you want to focus on and what you want to create in. So you can't find out what you don't like until you find out what you do like. So
sure.
That's why I tell people, because like I found out, like, I do corporate headshots and stuff like that. I can knock it out the park. I can do school photography, knock it out the park. But do I want to? No, I don't. It's soul draining. I'll do it for a paycheck, but it's not like something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So like I learned that from doing it and experiencing it. And that's how I found out, like, I like conceptual photography, and that's how I found out that I like doing concerts, and I like weddings, and like I like doing all stuff. I love elopements. I wish I could get more of those. Those are awesome. I love doing adventure photography. I like working with bloggers. Like, it's just all from having these experiences. So I suggest to any, like, photographers that are looking to, like, figure out how to do this, to go out and find what you like and do weird stuff. Like, I do food photography, and I like doing that. I think it's cool. It's a whole different ball game, shooting stills and things, especially of fresh food. That's a challenge a little bit, and you always have to have certain lighting. So it also helps you doing different lighting situations in photography and different types of photography. Also helps you to pay attention while doing shows. Working in all different lighting sets, and also working in low light, has helped me see where light hits bodies to do dark and moody boudoir. Having worked in school lighting with strobes and stuff like that has shown me where to put lighting when I'm doing portraiture. It's showed me also where to pay attention and what angles to get while I'm working in the pit to see where the light's gonna hit. It's all, like, 90% of photography is about lighting. If you don't have light, you don't have a picture. And if you don't know where to see the light, you can't take the picture. There's always going to be something missing from it. There's always going to be something off. So it definitely teaches you how to look for those things and to pay attention to things. Also, doing music, you learn to listen to cues in songs, and it helps you to figure out if a moment's coming. So when you're at a wedding and they're doing a dance and you've heard that song play before and you know that it has a crazy breakdown, you know that's the time to get on the dance floor and catch the people dancing and doing weird stuff. Like, that's where you're going to get your shot for the night. So it helps in so many different ways.
I love that. That is all great advice. And I think a lot of it just comes out of kind of what you were saying, just like trying different things and practicing, just like going out and doing it and learning from it. Like, it's just so important to keep going. So that's all fantastic advice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
I wanted to dive into a little bit more about, like, music photography when it comes to, like, the industry and, like, your career, because you've already done so much. Is there, like, something that you have coming up that, like, is your ideal goal? Do you see success in the music industry a certain way? Is there something that you're looking forward to other than getting out of this whole COVID situation? Because I feel like all of us are over this. But like, what does success look like for you when it comes to your photography career or being in the music industry?
I want to do more tours. I miss touring. And it's going to be crazy because now I have to look at it from a different perspective, because now I'm going to be a single mom. So now it's kind of like, okay, I have to look at, I'm going to be going on this new walk of life. So now I have to look at where that means where my career stands. So that's definitely something that's that's a challenge that I'm going to have to work through. So I'm looking for other ways that I can still be active in my community and not be an absentee parent.
Yeah.
So that's been an interesting thing that I'm having to work on. But photography career wise, like one of my good friends, I know I've been telling him for years he's gonna make it, and we gonna do it together. And I'm just waiting. And then my boys in Little Death, like, I'm waiting for them to call me. I'll be like, I'll have a babysitter on standby. We're going on tour. We're going to do this. I'm going to be there for you. I just want to see all my friends be successful.
Yeah.
And I want to see them do good. And I have so much belief in them to do it. And I want to work with Orville Peck so bad. I love him. So if Orville Peck listens to your podcast, Orville Peck, you better hit me up. I was real upset that you were in Joshua Tree and I did not get a text back. Like, I love that man. I think he is such a talent, and he has such good motives and ambitions, and just is such a voice for a community that I don't even like country music, and I love him. And he's brought, like, queer country. Like, what? This is amazing. Why isn't this a thing? Why hasn't this been a thing? Like, he has brought it to the forefront, and I admire him. And he made Shania Twain relevant again. Yes, I love her too. And I didn't realize how much I loved her. And I was like, man, I'm a closet country fan. Because, like, I was digging that song that they made. But I want to work with him. I want to do portraits with him. I want to go on tour with him. Like, I would do it any day of the week. If he called me, I would drop everything I was doing and go with him. Because I just think he's such a phenomenal person, and I just want to know him. I just want to be friends with him. And there's so many people in the industry that I admire and I respect so much, and I feel like we could do so many great things together, and I could be a really good asset to their team. Like Lizzo, I would love to go with Lizzo. My gosh, we would have a blast. We'd probably get in trouble together though, but we would have a blast. But there's so many people that I want to work with, and so many people I haven't seen. Like, I've had some missed opportunities that I want to kind of rekindle. I've always, Gwen Stefani has been like top shelf, like queendom for me since I was 7 years old. I've always respected and admired her hustle and how versatile she is. I don't like all of her music, but I like her as a person, and I would love to work with her and make some of her abstract imagery come true. And I think that we would fit, and we would be BFFs. And I just want to continue, like, my career. I want to continue touring. I want to continue working with publications. I want to kind of like make it a forefront, because I feel like I don't feel like there's a lot of fronted lead female photographers in the industry that get respect. Mm-hmm. And I want to prove that we're not all out here because our boyfriends are in a band. And that we're not all out here because we want to sleep with somebody, because that is a big stigma that we have to deal with on a regular basis in this industry. That sometimes we just respect the talent, and we have a talent and we share it. Yeah.
Before we dive more into that, because I definitely want to talk about the music industry before we end this podcast, but I just wanted to say really quick that I love that when we're talking about success and things that you want to do, you kept saying continue. And I just, like, find that so motivating, that it's not like, okay, here's this thing that I want to do. It's like, look, I'm happy with everything that I'm doing. I want to do more of it. And I want to keep growing, but I want to do more of the things that I'm doing. And I just love that. Like, the whole idea of just being happy with, like, where you're at and growing it just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. So I just wanted to call that out, because I thought that was amazing. But shifting a little bit to a little bit tougher of a question that you kind of led into a little bit here is like sexism and prejudices in the industry. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, is to talk about this, because I feel like it's something that a lot of people don't talk about and a lot of people face. So like, what experiences, if any, you faced about like being on tour as a woman, any prejudices, any sexism, anything that you've gone through, and like what you've learned from it or how you've handled it?
Oh my goodness, I have some stories.
This might be a whole hour by itself. Who knows? No.
Well, yeah. So, I'll talk about my festival experiences first. To make my dreams come true, to be able to have the gear that I have, everything that I have, I own outright. I've never had anything on a lease. I've never had anything on. I was homeless for a few years to pay for all my gear. At one point in time, my gear's kind of dwindled because I'm clumsy and I break things. And I felt guilty about having a bunch of insurance claims. So I just like bit the bullet on a couple things. But I had a really big touring kit for a while. I had about 30 grand worth of gear that I saved up for and I worked my butt off for. And I would go to these festivals, and it was always an older man would be like, oh, do you know how to use that? I'm like, yes, I do. So cool. You rent that for the weekend? And I just looked at him and I was like, no, I did not. I own this. This is mine. I paid for it with my own money. Did you rent that one for the weekend? And then they like look at me like, oh, like insulted. And I'm just like, okay. So it's like one of those problems where they don't, and it's not everybody. I've met a lot of really great men in the pit, but I've met a lot of a-holes. And I've met a lot of pretentious older men, older white guys, that like to sit here and think that they know more than me. They're like, oh yeah, I'm friends with Jonathan Davis and Korn, and I'm blah, 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 blah. And then when I'm like, oh yeah, I know blah, blah, blah too. And then they're just like, oh, well, you don't know them like I do. We kicked a couple beers back the other day. And I'm like, that's cool. I don't drink beer. I was like, I'm going to see him later today. You want me to tell him you said hi? Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, you can't. And then they're like, oh, whose girlfriend are you? When I would do local shows, that's the one I always get. Whose girlfriend are you? Who are you sleeping with? Who do you have a crush on? And I'm just like, none of them. They're kind of like 5 years younger than me, and like they're like teenagers. That's gross. Like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, I'm here because they hired me to come shoot their show for them. Yeah. And I deal with a lot of stigmas with that, and a lot of sexism with that. The big thing is, you can't make money in this industry, so you should just quit. That's my favorite. I've been told that so many times, and I'm like, oh, are you not getting paid to be at this show? Yeah. And they're like, no one's getting paid. And I was like, oh, that's funny, I am. Yeah, there you go. You know? And it's just like, and then it's so funny, or I'll have my credentials hidden when I'm working, and then they'll be really rude to me and be like, oh, well, you can't be here. Because, like, when I was, prime example, when I was on tour with Queens of the Stone Age, I had rights to shoot the entire show. Yeah. I didn't have to do 3 songs. I could go anywhere I wanted, shoot whatever I wanted for however long I wanted. And this man, who did not know me, threw a huge temper tantrum that I was in the pit. He's like, she can't be back here if I can't be back here, blah, 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 blah. Tried to get me thrown out of the venue, made a huge scene, and then Queen's manager came over and was like, what's the problem? She's allowed to shoot this whole show. She's with us. And then he's like, can I see your credentials? And I popped it out, and it was like on my hip, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And that guy got so red in the face, and like had to walk away because he wouldn't let it go. And it boggled my mind, like how much like I've had to deal with people like that, or with security where they won't let me through because they're like, oh, you're just trying to sneak back here and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm with the band. Like, I'm here with the band. Like, I came on the bus. Did you not see me on the bus? Like, I walked off the bus. I waved at you when I got off the bus. And they're like, no, 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 no. And, like, almost make me miss my shots because they won't let me in a certain area because they don't believe me. And it doesn't even matter. Like, sometimes even having the credentials doesn't matter. They don't care. They don't believe you. They're like, oh, okay, little girl. And I'm like, I'm 32 years old. I'm not a little girl. Like, get out of my face. Like, what? And it's sad. And I really hope that when all this pandemic stuff is over and with all the growing female responses and the females in the industry, that things change. Because I am so tired of dealing with it. Like, I never, and it's also, it makes me sad too, because, like, now that I'm a lot older, and I have tough skin from this stuff, because I've been dealing with this for 10 years. But when I see, like, some of the young aspiring ones, and they're getting bullied down by these old men on stools, like, what? Why are you bringing a stool into a barricade? You're 6'4", you don't need a stool. Or, like, holding their camera above their head to get the shot so that no other photographer can get it. And I'm just like, and then there's, like, this little 4'11" girl, and she's, like, 19, she's working for her, like, local college publication, and she, like, really wants to do this, and then this big dude gets in front of her and, like, sits here and, like, big bears her.
Yeah.
And I've made it a point where if there is anyone short around me, I'm like, get in front of me.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care, we'll get it. I'll just sit on your shoulder, girl. I got you. I was like, but I'm not going to let that 6'4" guy on the stool in front of you get in your way, holding his camera up in the air. He's probably shooting on aperture priority. Screw him. Like, you know, it's just like, that's been one of the hardest things to deal with, is just, like, not being taken seriously, not being respected. And I will say, working with Incubus, total amazing. Like, that was probably, like, the best time that I've been treated by people. Like, nobody looked down on me. Like, they respected me as an equal. And that was great. Nice. Their staff is amazing, and their team is amazing. And I guess it was the venue, too, that was really awesome. So, it's just a hit or miss, but you gotta have tough skin to deal with that stuff, and you have to, like, you gotta accept, like, let them talk, let them say their little spiel, but if they make you uncomfortable or they degrade you, don't feel bad. Don't feel anything, because they're just mad because they've been in the industry for 20 years and haven't made anything of it. They're still drinking rock stars on the weekend, wishing that Godsmack would be their BFF. Like, that's all it is. Like, and let them be that way. They fucking, sometimes, excuse my language, they just don't, they haven't been able to make a career for themselves because they don't have the ambition. And it is all about the ambition and the drive. It's all about the networking. And half the time they ain't even friendly. So that's why you got to be nice to everybody. Even being nice to those guys, because sometimes they might know somebody. But just, it's hard. And I've seen it get progressively worse the younger that the girls get in the thing.
For sure.
But what's been really, I think that there is going to be a change, because there's been a lot of outing of people sexually harassing women in the industry, and a lot of stuff has come out. It boggles my mind, because there was so much stuff that I dealt with musicians when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, that I thought was, like, that's how people were. Like, I didn't understand that someone, like, being inappropriate with you was wrong, you know? Like, even in that industry and in that ability. So, like, seeing people finally speak up about that and kind of, like, outing these people for having terrible behaviors, I'm hoping that will induce a change in how males treat females in the industry, and start, because if we start commanding respect, it'll eventually happen. Yeah. It'll keep going. I think that the more we bring awareness to these factors, the more we will be able to have a voice, and we will be able to stand our ground, and people won't do those things. Because it's been happening since the dawn of time. Dude, I remember when I interned and I was 17, I, like, had, like, this fucking world famous comedian, like, come at me And he was like, oh, he's like, you should come to my show tonight. And I was like, I'm 17. And he's like, huh, call me when you're 18. And I'm just like, all right, that's weird. Okay. I thought we were friends, but obviously not. You know?
Yeah. There's just so much stuff with this industry. And then also, kind of like just what you were saying of like bringing awareness to like what's going on and like making sure that people like hear about it, I guess. That's gonna help so much. But like the other part of it for me was just like making sure that like younger women know that they're not alone. I think that was like the biggest thing for me, because like all of my mentors in the like music industry were all dudes. And then like when I moved to LA, it was like bam, here's a whole bunch of like sexist shit going on in the pit that I had no idea how to handle it, because all of my mentors were dudes and they had no idea that this was going on. So it's like talking to other women and like knowing, you know, what happens and like how to deal with it, and like whether or not you need to have thick skin or who to talk to when, you know, something happens. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. That's why I bring it up. But yeah, it's just so frustrating to hear that, like, you know, no matter kind of like what level you're at, you know, people are always, there's always going to be someone, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's how it is, and it sucks for it to be that way, and I wish it wasn't, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a depressing note to end on, but
well, the thing is that we are definitely changing the industry by standing up for ourselves and making voices heard.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people that I've seen weird stuff on tour, and I always spoke up. But like when I saw someone being inappropriate, or if there was like a girl that was too drunk, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this bitch out of here. I'm gonna help her out. I was like, I'm gonna take you out of this room because I know this roadie is kind of a douche. So I'm gonna take you over here, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it sucks because sometimes you don't see everything. And so you have to sit there and be there for people, and you have to listen, you have to believe them. Like, there's so many allegations that have came out about people that I've worked with that I've never seen anything bad from them.
Yeah.
Never seen anything bad from them. But I also wasn't their intended target.
Yeah.
So it kind of like brings you have to believe people. You have to listen to them. And you have to hold accountability for people. And I think the more women that stand up for themselves, to even just someone saying something as entitling as degrading their equipment is a step in the right direction. Because then the next time you meet some guy and they're making fun of your D3100 because they have a $6,000 camera that they leased, it's like, well, at least I bought mine, okay? So hop off. You know?
Yeah. And I think it's important for people who have, because there's definitely going to be people out there that have thicker skin or are more extroverted. And if you're one of those people and you see someone being rude and doing bad things, it's like, go step in. Go stand up for that person and, like, make sure that, you know, it's a good vibe. It's a good situation. Like, don't let things happen if you're seeing it. Because, like you said, like, I've stepped in numerous times for, like, if a situation, if someone's, like, making fun of someone else or, like, being rude, holding up their camera, whatever it is, like, I'll step in. I'll speak for the group if the group is annoyed or if someone else is annoyed. It's like having people stand up and just make voices heard, I think is super important.
It really is. A lot of people don't do that. And that's kudos.
I also love getting in arguments, so that's personal. We'll fight you anytime. No, I'm kidding. I'm really nice. I promise, guys. If you see me in the pit, I'm really, really nice. Let's end this on a super positive note. This is what I always love asking people, is like the best piece of advice that you've received that you would love to pass on to anyone getting started in the music industry. Anyone out there. Like, what's the best piece of advice?
My mentor told me, this is going to sound really cheesy. My mentor told me in the industry, it's terrible, but I'm telling you, it's helped me a lot. Don't sleep with anyone that you want to work with. Don't do it. Don't take it to a level that you don't want it to be.
Yeah. Respect
boundaries. She says you make it farther in friendship than you make it in relationship. And she said, befriend people, be kind, treat everyone behind the barricade with respect, and always bring water or treats for the bouncers.
Nice. I love all of that. Well, thank you so much, Mari. You had such great advice, and I loved hearing about like you touring with these really, really cool bands. So I appreciate you coming on here and talking about everything. Really quickly, can you shout out like your social media, your website, where everyone can find your work?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at soundsnapphoto.com. And if you want to, or SoundSnapPhoto at Instagram, I guess, and SoundSnapPhoto.com. And then if you want to check out my more risque work, you can check out SoundSnap Boudoir, and that website's SoundSnapBoudoirPhotography.com. And I'm also on Twitter, SoundSnapPhoto. It's all the same around all the spectrums and all the forums. So
love it. So everyone listening, please go check out all of Mari's work. I know that I creeped on a lot of it, and it's really cool, and you guys should do the same. And Mari, thank you so much for joining me. I had such a great time talking to you, and I really hope that we can share the pit sometime soon when we're out of COVID.
Oh yeah, sooner than later.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.